Hello, and welcome to my Fear Street ranking. Okay, so let's get this out of the way real quick. This isn't really going to be a ranking video, so let's change it to a review video. But just for those of you who would like to know how I rank these, Fear Street Part 1 is at number 3, Fear Street Part 2 is at number 2, and Fear Street Part 3 is at number 1. That's the ranking. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you basically what all happens in all three of these movies. So if you do not want spoilers, if you don't want any kind of spoilage for this series of movies, stop the video here, go watch them, then feel free to come back. Alright, so for those of you who did not click away, so we open up on Fear Street Part 1. There's this killer who kills a bunch of people in a mall, and then he gets gunned down. We find out that this is happening in this bad part of town, or this bad town, because there's two towns literally next to each other, and this seems to happen every so often. Well, we start getting introduced to our main characters, and after a prank gone wrong, one of the kids gets a glimpse of something. It's not made entirely clear what it is. But then suddenly, a lot of past killers start rising up to chase this girl down. And there is one major problem I have with this entire 3-movie series, which I'll get into at the end a little bit, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But moving on, so they're trying to find a way to beat these killers, get the girl safe. They've come to realize the only people that are being killed off are anyone who gets in the way, and that they're chasing her because of her blood. So they decide to set up a trap to kill all the killers, but they realize that when they try this, it doesn't actually get rid of the killers. And that the only possible way to get rid of all these killers is for her to die. So they're going to go set up a new trap, and they're going to set up a way for her to die and be brought back. They attempt this. A few of the kids are killed in the process, and they actually manage to, kill the main girl and then bring her back. So they think everything is good. They think they're all safe. But then suddenly the main girl, she starts becoming a killer. She tries to stab her love interest, or best friend. They have to subdue her and tie her up. And finally they get in touch with the only survivor from the 1978 incident. So that brings us kind of into part 2, where they decide they're going to go see the girl who survived and find out how she managed to survive and stay safe. But she lives a very paranoid life, keeps her house locked down tight, basically living in a panic room, and she just starts telling them her story. And we find out that there was these two sisters. They were attending a summer camp. One sister was a troublemaker who was constantly making trouble and being bullied by this one girl at the camp. And she makes friends with this boy. They start, getting revenge on the girl bully. And there's this whole thing throughout the series about a witch And you learn a little bit more in each movie. They end up finding this huge catacombs underneath where the camp is. They think, oh, if, we could stop all this if we reunite the witch's hand with her body. So they find the hand. The two sisters, they go and they bury the hand by the tree where the witch was hung, but the killers kill them off and then disappear. Well, the boy who was falling in love with that girl, he comes up and, I don't know exactly how he saved her, but somehow he managed to get there and save her, or she just wasn't actually fully dead. But help arrives in time, and she's saved. And we learn that it's actually the younger sister who survived, but she's going by the older sister's name. Why? Who knows? How that makes any sense or use? I don't know. Only thing I could guess is she wanted to stay connected to her sister. So, moving on, they go back to the present, and the new main girl, or the second main girl, she's like, well, that's not where the body was buried. The body isn't underneath where the tree was. It's in a different location. So is the hand still there? So they go, they undig the hand from the tree, which is in the middle of the mall where the whole thing began. And she takes the hand to where the body is and buries the hand with the body. But when she does this, her consciousness is kind of flung back in time. And she is now living events through the eyes of the supposed witch, or from the witch. So now we enter part 3, and in part 3, we see all of the events that led up to the witch getting hung. For as much as people nowadays try not to stereotype, this whole thing with the witch was a huge stereotype. It could have been handled much differently, but no, it was just a huge stereotype, and that leads into one of the problems I had with this series. So, moving on, we find out what happened with the witch. We find out who's really behind everything going on in this town. And I won't say who it is, just in case you didn't watch it yet and you still want to check out for yourself who the main bad guy actually is. I want to leave that open for you. But moving forward. So, now we're back in the present, and they have to stop the main bad guy because the main bad guy is after the main girl now, and they want to end this once and for all. So they set up this huge trap for the main bad guy at the mall, and he almost falls into it, but doesn't quite fall into it. Long story short, they finally do manage to overcome the bad guy and kill that person off, which does end the curse, or so we think. And that's kind of how the series ends. During the credits, or right after the credits of the third movie, there is one little thing that hints that there might be more to come, which, honestly, I'd be happy to see more. But you see a hand quickly grab this witch's book from where it's at in the catacombs, blocked off by evidence tape. And like I said, you just see a hand grab it and cut to black. That is Fear Street. Like I said, it was pretty good. I liked it. I probably would watch it again at some point. It's not like the best thing going. I mean, it was a fun 3 movie thing that, actually made sense in the way they actually made it. I really enjoyed the aspect of this is going back in time by telling you stories from the past in different ways. The time travel thing was a little bit confusing just because at certain points you don't know if the main girl is actually controlling the body or if the witch is controlling the body and she's just seeing events play out. I think it would have been better if, like, the witch, if we actually saw the actress who plays the witch the whole time instead of the main girl, because they kind of have the main girl in place of who the witch is, Sarah Fear. They have her face instead of Sarah Fear's face. And there's like this one thing where she looks in a well and she sees that the reflection in the water is not her reflection. It's like, okay, if Sarah Fear's in control, why would she be doing this? Why would she be looking shocked that she's inside someone else's body? That makes no sense. I think they just need to make things make a little bit more sense and really stick to their focus on who's in control in that aspect of the time travel bit. But other than that, that was fine. And as for positives, that's, it. The 2 major problems I had with this, the first one being that I know that other reviewers have probably said this, but I'm really getting tired of seeing the same 5 actors from other Netflix shows and movies constantly recycled. Like, one of the girls here is from Stranger Things. I'm sure I've seen some of the other kids and actors in other Netflix movies and shows. I don't watch a bunch of the Netflix stuff, only like the really big stuff. But yeah, I think they need to cut back on some of these people they use all the time. Oh yeah, one of the victims at the beginning of 1 was another girl who was an actress in Stranger Things. And like I said, I'm sure there were more that I didn't catch right away. The second major problem I had was the wokeness of this series. It tried to be woke, but at the same time, it was being very stereotypical of what woke people try to fight against, I guess. But at the same time, being just as woke as it can be. And I have major issues when it comes to these topics. If anybody would like me to do a video on my thoughts, because I have quite interesting views. I'm not one of those people that sit there and say, oh, I'm against all this because I don't like it. Honestly, I'll tell you, the short of it is I don't care. If you are a certain way, that's your choice. If you believe a certain thing, that's your choice. My only issue is I don't need it crammed down my throat in every movie. And when you do that, well, that's what I'll talk about in the video, if I ever make it. So if you want me to do a video where I talk about my views and opinions on modern day woke culture, feel free to say, please make that video in the comment section below. Because it's a very interesting topic to talk about, but I know it's a very volatile topic to talk about. Like I said, little bits here and there, I don't mind. But that's not what Hollywood's doing nowadays, and I think you will all find it very interesting to hear what my thoughts are on that. So, like I said, if you want me to do a video talking about this in depth, I'd be willing to do it if I get, let's say, 5 or more comments asking me to do such a video. But moving on. So, I don't actually have any sort of, review rank or star system set up for just movie reviews. And I don't know if I'll ever read the books. I'd like to, but I know there's a ton of these, and I don't know if they have any audiobooks, and I really don't have time to read. Not with my own writing, being a single parent, and running this YouTube channel, and all the marketing I do, plus a regular job that I have right now until, my books take off. So, maybe I'll read in the future if this channel or my books take off, but I don't think I'm ever going to have that time. The only time I have to read, which is kind of a listen, is when I can listen to audiobooks, which is while I'm working my regular job, because I do a lot of driving. So, if I can find these all as audiobooks, I might check them out at some point. But I don't know if they are audiobooks. But that's my thoughts. So, if I had to suggest it, yes, watch these movies. They are very interesting. The story, which is what I'm mainly focusing on here, the main story is very interesting. I think the characters needed some more work. I think the characters needed a little bit more care and attention. But besides that, it was good. I liked it, and I might be willing to watch it again. So, if you like this, please let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Maybe we can get enough comments and I'll make that video that I talked about. If you have not yet, please subscribe to this channel and make sure to click the notification bell so you're notified the second a new video goes up. That's all I have for today, and I will talk to you next week.